Lady of Shadows, Book 2 of Reading Between the Lines, written by Wendy Barron, narrated by Wendy Barron. Chapter 1. Diego blanched at the monitor of the waiting area broadcasting Faith Winthrop's interview with reporters for the 100th time. Sickening to watch her maintain a desire to protect patient information in one breath and pretend to be the hero that guided Lyra to escape the Mexican shipment of many kidnapped children. The arrival gate hissed open, and Diego Montalvo shifted closer to the railing, pulse thudding in his throat. Passengers spilled out in loose clusters, sunburned tourists, business travelers, families dragging overstuffed bags. But he barely registered any of them. He was watching for two faces only, and their plane hadn't landed. Then he saw the Aeromexico curve through the smoggy haze. He began walking to the boarding terminal, eyes locked on Lyra's plane as it skipped and then landed. He watched the boarding gates latch, puffing the glass with his breath. He glanced over his shoulder to see if anyone was watching him. He had to be careful. His name was Fred Stewart from Alabama. His ID said so. Lyra Kane emerged first, moving stiffly, her clothes rumpled and streaked with dried blood. Even exhausted, she had that strange, magnetic presence, the kind that made her bedhead hair and her piercing blue eyes capture the cameras and make them love her. That gaze swept the terminal now, unfocused, blinking against the harsh fluorescence after whatever hell she'd endured. Trent Mallory followed a step behind, attempting to smile through his curly blonde bangs with one arm wrapped protectively around his ribs, jaw clenched against pain intended to gain sympathy from their upcoming audience. The paramedics waiting near the gate moved toward them with urgency, and then the press noticed. A single gasp rippled through the crowd. "Is that her?" And suddenly the terminal erupted. Reporters surged forward like a breaking tide, microphones raised, cameras flashing in rapid-fire bursts that pained Lyra in strobing white light. "Lyra! Lyra Kane! Over here! Lyra, what happened in Mexico? Is it true you escaped the Montalvos? Did Trent save your life? I'm your best fan!" Security tried to hold the line, but the barricade buckled under the weight of bodies pressing forward. Diego's fingers curled around the railing. This was exactly what he'd feared. The moment she became a national obsession, a survival, a symbol, a problem. He wanted to take care of business, but she had gotten his stupid cousin's cell phone, and he knew they'd pulled enough data off the trackers before they were destroyed. He stayed rooted, invisible in the chaos. This wasn't the moment to reveal himself. Not yet. Why Emilio saved everything on that damn thing was enough reason to kill him too. The why of it was because Emilio was stupid. So stupid. This could have been wrapped up before the plane landed. But no. His stupid, stupid cousin had things on that device that he still needed. Diego squinted through the school of tourists and saw Lyra trying to wave the reporters off, shaking her head, but her knees buckled. A medic caught her before she hit the floor. Trent swore under his breath and tried to steady her, only to double over with a sharp, involuntary gasp. The crowd gasped, bodies surged forward, but Diego went very still, the kind of stillness that came before a kill. The paramedics forced a path through the crowd, shouting for space, for air, for people to move. Cameras followed them relentlessly, lenses thrust inches from Lyra's face. Security guards shoved back, but the press kept surging, shouting questions, theories, accusations. Lyra looked back, her gaze sweeping the sea of faces. For a heartbeat, Diego thought she saw him, her brow furrowed, lips parting as if to speak. When he realized he was frozen, he almost laughed. They had never met. She wouldn't know him unless she mistook him for Julian. As if. Julian was spectacle and performance. Diego was altogether a different animal. The paramedics ushered Lyra forward, and she turned away. The moment dissolved into the roar of the crowd. Diego exhaled slowly, forcing his heartbeat to settle. Julian was dead. The LA connection was at risk, and his father wanted containment. Whatever came next, He knew one thing with absolute certainty. They'd torched the base of operations, but it was too late. With the data from the trackers and now the cell phone, he had to get in, get the phone, and get out. They weren't moving on Lyra Kane yet, because that was the only way of laying hands on that phone. First, phone, then therapist. That wasn't right, Diego thought. It should be phone, Lyra, and then therapist. Well, Mother and Father aren't here right now, are they? He pushed away from the railing and began threading through the terminal, but the press blocked every path. Camera crews dragged cables across the floor. Reporters shoved each other for position. Security barked orders. Someone bumped him hard enough to jostle his shoulder. The last thing he needed was to end up on camera, but he didn't run. He walked. Purposeful, silent, slipping between bodies and trying hard to act like he cared when an old lady gasped as he shoved by. "Madame?" Diego bowed his head slightly to her and hurried on. By the time he reached the exit, the ambulance doors had already sealed. A brief chirp of the siren cut through the humid airport air as it pulled away from the curb. At the street edge, he spotted it, the ambulance weaving into traffic, lights pulsing against the chrome of passing cars. Now he was going to run. He reached his SUV swiftly, slid into the driver's seat, and turned the key without flourish or panic. Rage, worry, and calculation folded together into something cold and sweaty on his hands, but he ignored it. He eased into traffic, keeping 2 car lengths back, close enough not to lose them, far enough not to draw attention. The ambulance moved with controlled urgency, no full siren, just intermittent bursts to clear stubborn intersections. Diego used the flashes as his guide, maneuvering through gaps the emergency lights opened for him. News reporter vans competed for the on-ramp, but he shoved his way in. The press was in his way, but not enough to stop him.